I look like shit.
That's what 14 hours of work will do to your face.
And action. Hey everyone, happy October. It is Nick.
And I am Justin. We are here actually to talk about our coming out stories. So back over the summer, we were actually able to go to Los Angeles with MTV to do a campaign called Out in 60 Seconds. And as you can probably tell from the title, Out in 60 Seconds is only 60 seconds of our coming out stories. And obviously for so many of us, 60 seconds is probably not nearly enough time to actually say, how our coming out experience was, even though it was such an amazing experience to be able to have that platform to tell our story. We kind of want to go a little bit more in depth here with you guys.
I feel like even when we were younger, there weren't things on the internet like this. You couldn't just go search YouTube for coming out stories from the LGBTQIA community. And I didn't even know what LGBTQIA was back then. But even before filming this, I was browsing YouTube and there are so many stories out there that people are sharing about coming out. I think this is something really big that connects us all because we all have to go through this, and it's something we continually have to go through throughout our lives, whether we get a new job or maybe we came out to our friends but not our family yet, and it's something that we can get a lot of support from our chosen family.
So my coming out story, I was at school at West Virginia University. I felt very confused, like I'm sure many people do. I had conflicting feelings, and I think especially for me, there was this desire to really be liked, and probably not necessarily in an authentic way, really. I think it was in a way that, society wants a male to be super masculine, and you should be dating girls and, bringing girls home. I think there was this pressure to sort of meet that standard. I actually was traveling with two of my closest friends at WVU, Ashley and Amanda. Hey girls. And I was super nervous. I actually just started randomly crying at their house, and I'm sure it was like the weirdest thing ever for them, but we were so close at that point that they started crying. They didn't even know what we were crying about yet at that point. I came out, I told them, and we kept crying because I think they were just like, it's not really a big deal. They said they loved me anyway, no matter what, and that this obviously just wasn't something I even needed to be concerned about, really.
Probably one of the best ways to start my coming out story is to tell you who I first came out to. It was a gymnastics teammate in college. His name was Scott, and I remember walking with him to biology class, but I just felt this urge. It was like this buildup. I could just feel like constantly in my chest, and I felt most comfortable telling him because I was close to him. I kind of grew up with him doing gymnastics, and I told him, and he did not care at all. He said, Nick, I already kind of knew, and I think most of the team does, and I don't think anybody will care. Even if they did, I'm always going to be here to support you. I think one of the hardest parts, though, about a coming out story is telling your family. I lost my father when I was 2 years old to cancer, so I never really had the worry of coming out to a dad, but I was super close to my mom all my life, and I could never tell her a lie. It would kill me even if I tried. So I think it was very difficult knowing that I hid this from her for as long as I did. I think she was upset for a day. We didn't speak the rest of that evening and a little bit into the next day. And she told me that a lot of it was for selfish reasons that she was upset. She thought she couldn't have grandkids. I'm her only son. And it really hurt her that I held something like this from her because I've always been close to my mom and I've never lied to her about anything. I think that hurt her most of all. I don't know how she didn't know because I have pictures of me playing with dolls at home all the time. There were some times where I would go to the store and she would let me buy a Barbie doll and she would lie with me at the counter and pretend it was for like my friend's birthday party. Oh, Mom, do you think Chelsea will like this doll? Oh yeah, I think she will, Nick. So I wouldn't be embarrassed at the toy store when I was little. I just regret not telling her sooner.
Obviously, family is an important part for me as well. My parents are both extremely accepting, and I have received absolutely nothing but love from them. I also have a little brother. His name's Steven. He actually, at the time I was coming out, was, I want to say like a semi-professional bodybuilder, but
he doesn't look like his little brother.
No, I do not look like my little brother. My little brother actually looks like he's 10 years older than me.
Oh, don't say that. That means he's gonna eat fit.
First thing he said to my family in this whole situation was, you know, it must have taken Justin a lot of courage to say something. It's just in the first place because, you know, being gay, it goes against the grain, and I think that's great. It's what makes us such a wonderful community.
My older sister, I think, always kind of knew, and I think your siblings know before your parents do, or feel something's different, especially since she caught me in some chat rooms when I was younger that we just didn't talk about, but that's another story.
The scandal.
I love my family very much. I would not trade them for the world.
When you feel like you need to be someone who you're not, just to put on sort of like a show for the world, really, you know, there's sort of like this like weight that's lifted when someone tells you that you can be who you are and that doesn't change a thing. You know, it's a tough thing, and I guess I want to say that I don't want people to necessarily be discouraged if they haven't come out yet. You know, there's so many stories of all the courage it takes to come out, and I think for many there's also a lot of courage that it takes to kind of hide it, because you may be in a situation where you just can't come out. So it's important really to recognize that, you know, if you are in a situation like that, you know, the first thing that's important is to just be safe. You know, you're part of this family, and we obviously care very deeply about the safety of those people in it, especially with things that go on, you know, not just in the United States, but around the world, really lodged against the LGBTQIA+ community. So, you know, it's a story of courage on both sides, and I think that's very important to remember.
We have our first guest appearance, but she's really overbooked, so she can only be here for a second or two.
You're so morbidly kitty obese.
Oh, yeah, she goes. Ooh.
You okay?
Yeah. Good.
That's better, yeah.
And cut.